Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and we just celebrated our first year here in the farmhouse. It's been a really exciting year, and I want to talk about a few of the big things we did this year, and then preview what's to come here in 2020. The first thing I want to talk about is this barn space. This was a huge renovation for us, and neither Kevin or I had done anything like this before. And we did it for two reasons. One, we built me a studio space so that I could do things like this and have the kitchen for the cooking demonstrations that I do for you guys. And two, so that our out-of-town guests would have a comfortable place to stay. Since we moved from Illinois to Michigan, all of our family is from out of state, and we really couldn't accommodate more than one set of parents in the house. So this space is going to double as a great space for family and friends to stay when they come from out of town. When we originally bought this house, the barn was sitting on top of an old garage that was falling down and was probably a rodent haven. It was also really asymmetrical since the previous owners kind of built the barn lopsided onto the garage. We took the garage down, we created a symmetrical space, and we created this great space for friends and family and for me to have a studio. I think you'll agree it looks a lot better now. The next thing that was huge for us in this first year here on the farm was getting farm animals. We got 12 chickens this year. We got them in March, and we've kept them alive for almost a year, fingers crossed. We had one fox attack, and we survived it. We've learned so much about them, and we love having fresh eggs. They are a responsibility though. We've had some easy moments like when they were babies and they would cry at night, or when they laid their first eggs, and we've had some hard moments like the fox attack that I mentioned, or when we discovered that we actually had a rooster when we thought we had all girls. But it's still been an amazing experience to watch our chickens grow from tiny babies to full-grown adults that lay fresh eggs for us every day. So one of the experiences in our first year here that we had that was really hard for me was we lost our dog. Our dog, Frenchie, was 16 years old. I got her when I was 22. So she was really a lot more my dog than probably the family dog. So it was a little harder on me, I think, than everybody else. But we lost her on June 1st. We put her to sleep. She had lost control of her back legs, and it was time. So we said goodbye to her, and that was one of kind of the heartbreaking things about this year. But we also said hello to Bailey. She is our new puppy. She is part pit bull. She's from a rescue. So we felt like we were doing a really good thing in going to a rescue, even though we never imagined having a pit bull. I kind of envisioned a golden retriever or something more farm-like. But you get what you get when you go to rescue an animal. And in so many ways, they can save you too. One of the first things we did when we moved into the farmhouse here was a construction project on the inside of the house, which was a little crazy because our house had just been renovated. However, the master bedroom situation wasn't working for us at all. There was no attached master bath, there was no good closet for our clothes, and it became a little bit difficult with those two things. The bathroom that was our master bathroom also only had one sink. So by moving some of the walls around and actually attaching that to the room that would become our bedroom, we were able to add two sinks into the master bathroom, which is really a godsend in a marriage. Then, since we were already doing construction upstairs, we decided to do a couple things in the mudroom and in the room that became my inside office. We changed the flooring out because there was black tile in those two rooms and it just wasn't working. And then we also added some lockers in the mudroom that I absolutely adore. Sometime this year, I'll give you guys a full tour of everything we did so you can see each room and all the little details. The garden is one of my favorite spaces here on the farm, and it's honestly a space that I've dreamed about. It is small this year. We had 6 garden boxes and 2 tubs, but we were able to grow so much more here than we were able to grow in our suburban home where we only had 2 gardening boxes. We moved the original garden that was here because we fenced in a portion of our acreage so that the kids and the dog would have a safe place to play. So the garden moved back a little bit. It also is allowing me to expand the garden as we grow each year. So while this year we only had 6 beds, next year we're going to have a whole lot more. One of the other big things that happened this year is that we named our farm. We named it Sugar Maple Farmhouse. And we did that because there is a large sugar maple right smack dab in front of our house. It's probably about 100 to 120 years old, just like the house, maybe even a little older. In the early spring of our first year, I had an arborist come out and check out the tree's health, and we found out that it wasn't really in great health. So we trimmed it so that it would be healthier and could put more effort into strengthening its roots and growing its healthy branches. And then we also planted another 7 baby sugar maples here that will hopefully grow and thrive for many years to come. So for 2020 coming up, we have a lot of goals here at the farmhouse. My number one goal this year is probably giving Kevin his brew room. And what that is when we did this barn renovation, we put in a space so that Kevin could brew beer. It's empty right now. Actually, our barn cat is in it, using it as her winter home. But soon it will have beer equipment in it, and Kevin will kind of get to realize that dream. Composting is another one of my goals this year. So we actually started composting last year, and we have 2 composting bins that I'll link for you down below in the description, and they'll be linked in the blog post about this. However, this next year, I want to get a lot better at it. Last year, I kind of just did it off the cuff because I knew I wanted to do it, so I got going. But this year, I want to become pretty much an expert. We'll probably look at adding another composter or 2 here in the new year, and maybe even adding one over in the garden space so that I don't have to walk across the farm to the ones that we already have. Speaking of the garden, one of the huge goals for this year is to expand it and add a greenhouse. A greenhouse has kind of been a dream of mine since I started my garden in the suburbs, and now we finally get to have a chance to put one together. Another goal for us here this year in our second year on the farm is to start selling our eggs and some of that produce that we grow. There's a huge cottage farm industry here in West Michigan, and we can't wait to be a part of it. We also realized we don't eat eggs as much as we thought we did, so we do have extra that we can share with our friends and family and our community. One of the other things we want to focus on this year is doing more DIY projects. This last year it was really heavy construction that we needed a lot of help from our contractor, but this next year is going to be about more of what we can do on our own and more do it yourself. Lastly, and this is a huge goal for this year and every year, is to start living more sustainably. So I think the garden ties into that nicely. I think the composting ties into that nicely. I think even having the chickens ties into that nicely. But that's been a goal of mine, and it was in fact a goal of mine even when we bought this place. It's part of the reason why we bought this place. We wanted to live more sustainably, and we wanted to be more self-sufficient in terms of having our own food, making our own food, growing our own food. And here we can finally do that. With all that said, we hope you'll join us for our second year here on the farm at Sugar Maple Farmhouse.